Well, reading the small print on this policy, it's not 4p in the pound immediately. Indeed, this policy takes 7 years to roll out. And this is one of the sticks with which Rishi Sunak is being beaten by Liz Truss. Her campaign says that people don't need tax cuts in 7 years' time. They need tax cuts now. But also simultaneously saying that this is a bit of a U-turn from Rishi Sunak. Yes, it may well be in 7 years' time, but we don't know what the level of inflation will be in 7 years' time. And the whole mantra of Rishi Sunak through the course of this campaign has been he would think it's irresponsible. He even used the word immoral last week to cut tax until inflation was under control. So to some extent, this does look like a little bit of desperation from Rishi Sunak. We know he's 24 points behind in the latest poll, although, bit of a caveat, that poll was over a week ago now. We haven't seen a poll since then, although I suppose one of the arguments that we haven't is things might not have moved. You might reason that both campaigns have been running private polls, and if there was one that was extra brilliant for them, they'd want to release that pretty sharpish. So we can safely assume, looking at the cabinet endorsements, looking at the way things have been moving, all of the members of the Scottish Parliament today who've endorsed Liz Truss. Equally, the cabinet ministers and former leadership contenders, everyone from Brandon Lewis, the Chancellor, Nadine Zwahi, and indeed the former leadership contender Tom Tugendhat, all endorsing Liz Truss over the weekend. It looks like the momentum is still firmly in the Truss camp.
Yeah, now, Tom, I'm finding this all slightly depressing because I was hoping the Conservative Party membership race would sustain us through the doldrums and the dog days of August, but it sounds like given that voting begins today, online voting starts today, they've got, as you explained to me during the commercial break, they've got their voting packs, they can send off their ballots. And if we get a sense within the next few days that she's not just won it by a bit, she's won it by a landslide, then the next few weeks actually become pretty pointless.
I think one of the reasons why we're seeing these last-ditch policy announcements now is because we're all expecting these votes to majoritarily take place this week and next week. So yes, the latter half of August will likely be a bit more of a lull, fewer announcements, no big debates. In fact, one of these clues as to things looking like they're more sewn up than they were before is that the debate that was going to take place on Thursday, the Sky News debate, is now no longer a debate. It is 2 separate interviews and audience questions. So instead of the 2 candidates going head-to-head, they will now go sequentially in that event on Thursday. So not quite the head-to-head it had been advertised as. Potentially this is because people see it, perhaps even the Liz Truss campaign seeing it as, you know what, we're so far ahead, why take any more risks? That could well be the case. Although there are these 12 hustings taking place, organised by the Conservative Party. We've already had one. The second one is today. And after that, of course, 10 more, one in every region of the United Kingdom. So those will at least keep the conversation going, even if what is being said isn't very new. One further point today is, of course, we're seeing this hustings down in Exeter, the southwest regional hustings. We've been hearing about agricultural policy from both of
Well, don't steal my thunder. That's my next item. I'm going to tell them about that.
I did want to mention one thing. A pretty extraordinary attack from Rishi Sunak against Liz Truss. Liz Truss announced a seasonal visa for people to come over, pick fruit and the like, something that the farmers' unions had been wanting to see. Rishi Sunak attacking Liz Truss, saying that this is a Remainer policy, saying that she's blaming Brexit for some of the labour shortages problems in the agricultural sector, and saying that her true Remainer colours are starting to show. A quote from the Rishi Sunak campaign.